This key picture of Oswald was found to be a forgery. Also forged were drawings which show a neat hole in the back of an otherwise undamaged head, and the photos you see here were suppressed. The FBI says they lost Kennedy's brain, which would have shown where bullets entered and left. Could the FBI lose the most vital piece of evidence of a murder of our president? It would not. Like many other details too long to cover here, this is actually evidence that the FBI worked with the killers from the earliest moments of the assassination. Who killed Kennedy how is not as important as why. Kennedy was most likely killed by the CIA, with help from the FBI and elements of the Secret Service and Pentagon Special Operations. The inner circle was small and select. Others served under orders. The CIA apparently engaged the Mafia to provide untraceable assassins, probably from the French Corsican Mafia. There were most likely 3 guns, 4 shots, 3 hits and a miss. We can now name many of the individuals involved. I name only men who are dead for reasons you may infer. John Roselli was a key contact between the CIA and the mob. His story is best told in this book by Charles Rapoli. Roselli was found dead in a barrel in a Florida canal in 1976, his legs cut off and his mouth silenced shortly before he was to testify to Congress. Another key man was CIA assassin David Morales, director of operations at the Miami CIA station in 1963, where Colonel Roselli also appeared. They'd been tasked to help kill Fidel Castro. They never got Castro, but they did get Kennedy. Morales died at age 54 in a strange way. Other personnel involved have also died, but some still live, whose names reappear at Watergate, in drug running from Southeast Asia, in the Iran-Contra scandal, and in other violations of America's Constitution. Some are active now, running companies which provide services to Pentagon Special Operations in 1992. More important than who is why, and what were the key consequences of the Kennedy murder. Changing policy was an overall goal, but different parties had different reasons. Here are 4 big reasons Kennedy was killed. 1, some CIA and Cuban exiles in operations were very mad at him for not providing air support for the Bay of Pigs invasion of 1961. This operation was started under President Eisenhower, and Kennedy blamed its failure on CIA Director Allen Dulles and Richard Bissell, Director of Covert Operations. But this didn't matter to those who felt betrayed. Some officials felt Kennedy had gone soft on communism after making a deal with the Soviet Union to get nuclear missiles out of Cuba. Dulles and Bissell had personal reasons to dislike Kennedy and the means to plan the kind of coup d'etat they'd already accomplished in third world countries. 2, the Mafia had a different reason. They'd helped elect John Kennedy by providing under-the-table political money and delivering votes, 80% in the wards they controlled in Chicago, for example. Kennedy won this key state and thereby the election by a mere 8,858 votes. So they felt he owed them, yet his brother Bobby Kennedy, now U.S. Attorney General, was waging a very public war against them instead. 3, some participated just for the money, like the hitmen hired to do the shooting. Finally, Kennedy had recently ordered the military to withdraw its advisors from Vietnam, where the CIA was busy brewing another war. So 4, extremists in the military apparently participated in the murder of their commander-in-chief because he was going to withdraw from Vietnam and cut their budgets. This is my view on why President Kennedy was killed by America's intelligence community. What were the major consequences? 1, no American government since has been truly legitimate, because every president has had to be approved by a secret power, a power never elected by anyone, which continues to use illegal money and criminal methods to discipline a captive Congress. 2, influence over the major media, already substantial, became so great as to merit the term control. The cover-up required a degree of media complicity beyond ordinary appeals to parrot the government line for national security. When it came to murdering Kennedy, uniform acceptance of the fraud that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin was desired. Unlimited funds and threats were available to reward those who complied and to punish those who resisted. 3, there were other murders over the years, of witnesses, of CIA personnel who knew too much, of journalists who came too close to the truth, and of course of CIA asset Lee Harvey Oswald, who was killed just days after Kennedy. A culture of murder resulted. Finally, 4, we got the war in Vietnam. 58,000 Americans died in that war, over 300,000 were wounded, and the Treasury was gutted, creating millions of casualties in Southeast Asian nations. Kennedy wasn't the only American killed by this secret power. Other evidence suggests they killed Martin Luther King 5 years later. The House Committee on Assassinations concluded conspiracy was likely and proved that the FBI ran a vast covert campaign to discredit and harass Dr. King, which began in December 1963, less than a month after Kennedy died. The BBC produced a documentary called Who Killed Martin Luther King, which concluded that the FBI and right-wing businessmen in St. Louis conspired in that political murder. Hard evidence in these cases, including Bobby Kennedy and Malcolm X, is much less than in the murder of John F. Kennedy, but the pattern is disturbing to many. So the big consequences of John Kennedy's murder include corruption of government on a vast scale, a terrible war with terrible consequences, corruption of other institutions like our precious media, and endless individual tragedies. Most simply put, there was a coup in America 28 years ago, and the country has gone downhill since. The KGB ran Russia into the ground, and secret powers are doing the same here. Kennedy's death was important, but it was 28 years ago. Let's look at CIA drug running and covert political operations going on to the present day. Drugs, Guns, and the CIA is a frontline documentary on the opium pipeline from Southeast Asia into America, run by Southern Air Transport under CIA guidance in the 1960s. Drug running and intelligence operations continue in very large scale today, with cocaine from Latin America, opiates from Afghanistan, and marijuana from many sources. Books like The Politics of Heroin in Southeast Asia by Al McCoy of the University of Wisconsin confirm that the CIA's Southern Air Transport was heavily involved in the drug trade. Other companies, called proprietaries, were set up to launder the funds and do related business. Australians have known for years about the Nugan Bank, for example, a CIA front devoted to drug trade financial operations. Profits were and are used for secret wars and political operations. These wars aren't secret to their victims, of course, only to the American public, which is shielded from knowing much about them. Cocaine Politics, published by the University of California in 1991, details how the intelligence community enabled risk-free cocaine running into the USA by the same people who were running guns to the secret war in Nicaragua and to other 1980s covert operations.